Lindsay, open the show.
Oh, we're open. We're on.
Hi, guys.
All right, calm it down there, girl. Just because I was off last week, getting my mouth destroyed. So,
By what?
So where I go to get dental work is the local dental school, and but they're all students. So I got the kid on his first day of doing his internship for a root canal.
Oh my!
And he was great. 2.5 hours of drilling in, I finally said enough's enough. My mouth still hurts from having to hold it open all that time. So yeah, that was not fun. All right, we connecting all up.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome to the show. We're trying another new software because Curtis didn't like the last one.
Neither did Dan.
What? No, I hated it. I'm not going to lie. So we should be live on where? YouTube and Facebook today?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to see how it goes. Let us know if you guys see any hiccups, any problems. We are free at last. Thank God Almighty. We're free at last from TikTok. So I don't know if you guys covered that.
What is that? I don't remember.
Free at last. Elgato.
No.
What?
You're overthinking it. It was a joke.
Oh, okay.
What? Now Dan has the whitest teeth I ever came across. What the frick?
Used it.
Somebody a month ago said my teeth were yellow, and I realized it was because I never use filters on my videos, but I had one where it was just too bright, and I had to put a filter on to darken it, and it made my teeth yellow, and people went nuts. Got a lot of comments on it, so thank you for all of you who commented because it helped the algorithm to push the video, but I guess white teeth now?
The answer is yes, Steve. They can all see it.
Yes, we can see you now, Steve. So I saw what you said earlier, and no, she's not ungrounded. Or was that country?
That was...
This is cool.
That was country.
My man, country. I was chatting with him on email this week about some stuff. So, all right. So I missed you guys last week. Did you miss me? No.
We did, but while the cat was away, the mice played.
And what did the mice do? I haven't watched the show yet, so
I forget.
Well, I was a little bit more naughty than I normally am because we didn't have to worry about TikTok censorship.
You?
Me? I know. Shocker. And then Curtis and I got off track and kind of ventured off into a cornfield somewhere, and then came back and then ventured off to came back, and it was actually pretty fun. We stayed mostly on topic.
So you need me to keep you under control. I have to be dad, daughter, and son. Listen, son. Hey, you know what? Back in my day, here we go. Everybody drink. I really don't have anything to add to it, but anyway. Dan is more pit bull than cat. I get called a teddy bear all the time. I fucking hate it. All right.
Well, it depends on what type of cat. I mean, I could see you being a bobcat or a lynx.
No.
Oh, okay.
I gotta be a lion, head of the pride.
Today.
Well,
today we're talking about the T app, but
yeah, we're gonna dive in.
Last week we talked about female communication pitfalls and who's really weaponizing incompetence.
Not men, as it turns out.
You know, not to sidetrack our discussion today because it's just too good to screw with, but women don't know how to communicate at all, even though they claim they do.
No, we don't. We're very bad at it.
10,000 words to say what men can say in 100. And still not get anywhere with their 10,000. So everybody drank. All right, we're good. All right, so let's dive into it because this is too good a topic to miss. I hope you all watched my video today, and if you didn't, why the F not? I put a lot of effort into that video.
We're spilling the tea on the tea.
Spilling the tea on tea.
Turns out you can't spill your tea in this app and then not get out.
So for those that don't know, I guess we should explain what T is. So T was an app, and it's actually been out a little bit of a time. It's not brand new.
Not brand new, and I can see the when it first came out, it was meant with good intentions, but I knew as
Oh,
soon
it
as
wasn't.
I knew as soon as it. Well, the guy who created it had good intentions. The women who used it did not. The guy who created it created it because his mother had some horrible dating experiences, and he wanted women to be able to communicate with each other about men they might be dating that might be dangerous. But I mean, like, women don't do that anyway. It was a road to hell is paved with good intentions, but the women who used it immediately said, okay, that's lovely, that's nice, anyway, we're going to use it to do this. And they immediately corrupted it and used it to with it not intended purpose. They did not read the intended use and purposes and did in fact apply the glue incorrectly. They started using it to basically just bash men. There was no
Shocking.
there was no, because there's no overreach. There's no way to if this guy comes out and says he's a creep or he's dangerous. First of all, there's no way for the guy on the app to know that he's being talked about like this. And there's also no one checking to see if he really is a registered R offender or
No
registered
moderation on it.
no moderation whatsoever. It's believe all women
on steroids.
On steroids, and you just have to take them at their word. But then other women are on this, including all of your HR managers. So men were getting turned down for jobs and whatnot, or likely were getting turned down for jobs. It's like having a Yellow Pages or Yelp, like a personal thing. And if you've ever read the Yelp comments on, you know how petty people can be. I know how petty people can be because I worked customer service retail for 12 years. Oh my Lord. I once got called into HR to talk about a customer complaint because they insisted that I refused to help them because they were Black. And turns out, no, I refused to climb a ladder when I was 8 months pregnant. And they called Dillard's headquarters on me. Of course they did. I was like, what? What do you mean I refused to help them? All I did was say, let me go get one of the dock guys to get your giant box of 100. It was 100 pounds, or no, not quite 100 pounds. It was pots and pans. It was an already heavy box on the very, very top shelf. I would have had to climb a ladder, and I was 8 months pregnant. All I did was ask, give me a moment. I will go get one of the dock guys. Apparently that was me refusing service on some made up thing. So that level of pettiness, and it was a woman, and that was level of pettiness. Imagine that with the anonymity of hiding behind a keyboard and being able to say whatever you want and have all the other women go, oh my God, that's so horrible.
All believed automatically.
Oh my God, that's so horrible. I bet he was a creepy. Ew, he just looks creepy. And because that, she took the camera angle like this. And as soon as I heard about it, I'm like, oh, this is not going to end well. Because I already knew how it was going to end the minute it was launched.
Well, it mirrors what's been going on for Facebook for the better part of a decade now with the "Are You Dating This Man" groups, right? There's various iterations of it, but they're the same thing. And I've infiltrated one. I've been in it for about 6 months, just sitting there, playing nice, agreeing with everything they say, and it is horrific what they say on there. And there is no accountability whatsoever on those. None. And they're calling guys flat out pedos and everything else with specifics. And these guys don't know it. And to your point, Lindsay, and this is the most important point, perhaps, is yes, HR managers are in there. Don't think for a second they're not. Which means there's a lawsuit just waiting to happen, right? The thing is, with this hack that happened, because, it was gift wrapped and handed over basically within days. Why they thought it wasn't going to happen is beyond me. There's lawsuits coming from the women, but I got to believe there's going to be guys that are going to look through that because they dumped the whole thing. And I read a little bit of it before I did my video. It's some scary shit in there.
Well, see, I'm not necessarily upset that it got hacked because
Not at all.
I'm not upset because I believe that people that are doing shady shit deserve to have a light shine on their shady shit. And guess what? If you're not doing shady shit, then you have nothing to worry about. So these women are upset because what? The rest of the world now knows what a pair of vindictive, shrewish bitches they are.
Okay, this isn't any different than what happened with the Ashley Madison app.
Back in the day.
Well, if you were
I just
cheating on
said
your
it. We got a
spouse,
break.
if you were cheating on your spouse and you got caught, I guess you deserved it. Because you know what? It's like you said, don't do shady shit.
And I had a buddy that got caught because of that.
Oh, I had several in the military.
And he came to me and he's like, "You're not gonna believe what happened to him." Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, "Dude, I got no sympathy for you. If you're cheating on your wife, too effing bad. You got what you deserved." But no buts. You shouldn't have been cheating on your wife. Period. So get out of my face. And that's that. But you look at these groups, and if you're actually in them, then Lindsay, you should try and infiltrate the app because they want your driver's license. Because I've tried to get in to that. I was able to get into the Facebook group, but
they've retrieved several tens of thousands of driver's licenses.
They got everything. They hacked their way all the way through. They have it all.
Had a lot of data.
The stuff that's out there, and as I said, I've been through some of it. They've got everything.
Yep, they got metadata for people's personal locations, their addresses, everything.
And it's not unusual that T would have that. Facebook has it, YouTube has it. They all have it. But the fact that they're upset that, well, now everybody's putting this out there and we're going to get told we're mean people and called names. It's too bad, so sad. You were doing it.
You were the one. So, okay, let me get this straight. You want to protect yourself from the very thing you were doing. So you want to protect yourself from doxing when you were out there doxing perfectly good men.
Yep.
Okay. Pot calling the kettle black.
Well, Steve just mentioned that he saw a bunch of photos on the women using the T app. Curtis, load them up.
Okay.
I have a couple of those. Show one of them.
Yeah. Let's go with this one.
Wes, hang on. Come on, producer boy. There it is.
There's the first one.
Boom. There's one group of women. Now, I did not make this meme. I have to tell you that. This is not from me, but it's been out all over the various webs.
Yeah.
These are the women who are saying horrible things about men. And oh, by the way, saying they need to be 6 feet tall with six-pack abs and
did you see Houston?
Well, yeah. He's being generous with the fours. It's two.
All right. Let's go. And we got
one more. Too, just so we can really just drive this point home.
There it is.
Well, shit, I'm a 10 by default.
Without question, you're a 10, darling. No way are you anything under a 10. Now, look, I'm not trying to put these women down for how they look, right? A couple of them actually I think are kind of cute. All right, I'll say that. But these are the women running around going that I deserve the Tom Brady level. Well, Tom Brady's pulling Sydney Sweeney. He ain't going to be pulling you, honey. Get with the program.
You don't have good genes.
See my video on that one too?
No, not yet.
Oh, come on. That was brilliant.
I've been spinning up for school.
You sitting by the pool, you could be listening to me.
So I actually did, I talked to someone, I was on a live the other day, late at night. I couldn't sleep. And I came across a live and they were talking about, it was a feminist live who made the mistake of letting me in the box. They were talking about men being afraid of successful women But it got roundabout to these type of women that we're talking about, that think that the low quality or low attractive women, and they're sitting there dictating to men basically that you should find us attractive. And I was like, you are entitled to no one's attention. You aren't. You are not entitled to anyone's attention. That's what they're like, no, that's what it comes down to. You are upset because some men, or a man, or many men are saying you are not attractive. They are rejecting your proposed self-image and saying, what you see and what we see are two entirely different things, and we reject you. You are not attend to us, and we don't want you. And they're saying no, and y'all are all butthurt about it. That's what it comes down to, is entitlement. You are not entitled to anyone's time, affection, or attention. None.
And I think that's the big takeaway that's going to come out of this, is just how delusional women have become.
Well,
and I'm generalizing, but yeah.
Not just that, but have you noticed that there seems to be this huge like shift or huge move towards wanting or feeling like they needed validation? And when you don't give them that validation,
they get mad.
Oh, do they
lose their minds?
Yes.
They literally lose their minds. I mean, they go nuts.
They're the real pick-me's. They want male validation so badly. Pick me. I'm a this or I'm a that. And I'm like, look, there's someone out there for everyone. But the men you're aiming for, you have to, and then they're sitting there, the live that I got trapped into this, I was talking, and I went back and forth about how this is entitlement and how women can't handle rejection. Because that's what it is. It's a rejection. Men are saying, no, I don't want you. And women are sitting there going, why don't you want me? I'm this, I'm that. And that's where the main topic was, with that men are afraid of, successful women. And I was sitting there going, they aren't. They go, yes, no, they aren't. What men look for, what is attractive to a man in a woman, is not the same thing, not the same qualities that attracts a woman to a man. And that's what it is. Women look for successful men. Men don't give two flying fucks if you're successful yet. But the other thing is, most of the career women I have met have confused assertiveness with bitchery.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're mistaking men's indifference for anger, right? Because if we were angry, I think they could cope with it better. The fact that we're completely indifferent because they own a house and they have a job, who gives two flying Fs, right?
They're angry
even more.
They're angry that you're not angry, so they're gaslighting everyone else to try and think, oh, men are angry. They're angry with us. No, honey, they're not. They just told you no.
I struggle with that, though, because in the course of doing divorces, you know that the women typically are the ones that are engaging just for the reaction. They want to document the reaction. But when the men don't give them that reaction, it's because that the men don't really care. They're indifferent, like you said. Mm-hmm. That indifference has been perpetuated, and it continues to exist for a reason. I don't care about, stupid stuff, or if you're pissed off that I left the toilet seat up one time. I mean, never mind the fact that I have wiped that effing floor 45 million times before that and wiped around the rim and everything. And I'm the one getting on our six boys about them doing the same damn shit. You know what? The one goddamn time I do it, that's the one time you remember it. You can kiss my ass at that point,
They have memories like elephants when you screw up. They have memories like mice when you don't.
They have memories of mice, or as I like to say, a drunk goldfish, when they do something wrong.
I just had Dory in my head. That shows you how old I am.
The sad part is I know who you're talking about too. Back in the day, there it is. I got a drink. I had to watch that stupid freaking movie. No joke. We wore out 2 DVDs of it. So that one, and what the frick was the other? Oh, Jurassic Park.
So I made a deal with my two boys. Because they get mad at me. They said, put the seat down. And they're like, well, why? And I was like, because shit keeps falling in the toilet. In their bathroom, I fished socks. I have fished everything out of the toilet. So I said, put the lid down. They're like, well, we don't want to put the lid down. I'm like, okay, I will make a deal with you. When you clean the nuclear disaster that is your bathroom, get on your knees and scrub around the base of the toilet and can manage to get everything out of it, then you can leave the seat up.
How old are they?
8 and 11.
Why are you cleaning their bathroom? F that.
My youngest is actually pretty good at it. My autistic 11-year-old will fling crap. We're working on it. That's where the medication we were talking
about. Sit down, son.
Is.
We're going to clean the toilet right now. And the internet's off till you have it spotless. And here's
the other day I turned the internet off and all three of them got mad at me.
Oh, that's the best.
Mom, Lindsay. I'm like, what? He goes, what happened to the internet? I said, I turned it off. Well, why? Because I've told your children or our children, our lovely angels, I told them they needed to clean and they weren't cleaning. I found Andrew in his closet playing a game.
Nope.
So since I can't trust them, I had to turn the internet off.
And they all lose it until everyone gets everything done. All for one, one for all. So Maggie actually said something a little while ago. I just want to go back to what she said because I can actually see the comments this time. She said she was in one of the things, so one of the Facebook groups, and said she got out quick. Maggie, I was genuinely curious, like, how long ago was this, and what were, within reason, what were some of the things that really, like, set you off, that really bothered you that were being said? I'm genuinely curious because I want to see if it mirrors what I've seen. So, because again, I've been in there since earlier this year and I'm seeing pretty much everything. The most common one. Now, some of them are fairly innocent comments, relatively speaking, right? And when I say that, I'm not saying they're good comments. I'm saying, well, he's a creep. Okay. That's an opinion thing. That's not suable. Claiming a guy argue with no proof. And posting his picture and his address and his phone number.
That starts to move towards, now we've got.
That's a criminal offense potentially.
Yes, because doxing,
not every
doxing is considered a form of harassment, whether it be stalking or harassment or both. So it's considered. Okay, so stalking's what? Basically pursuing someone or tracking them without legitimate purpose.
That's stalking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Harassment is the intent, or is to communicate with the intent to annoy, alarm, or harm without legitimate purpose as well. So it's kind of like one of those things where you go, if you lack legitimate purpose, you probably shouldn't do it. It's kind of like, do you have a need to know? No. So why do you want to know? You probably shouldn't know.
So she says it was a few years ago. It was just the fact that hundreds of women will say horrid things about people they have never met or talked to. So that was my problem.
That's a good point you just made, Maggie. And thank you for putting that there.
It's not just the women who post the terrible stuff. It's all the women who pile on about, oh my God, yeah, I bet he's and then they share it and share it and share it around.
They send it to all their friends.
All of the friends, and there's no way to prove its validity. You're just taking it. And see, I remember when the internet first came out and I was told, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Always assume that it's half or mostly a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have people who believe everything they see on the internet.
Well, I mean, the point is, we all know the game telephone, right? In this case, you go from some chick calling you a creep, which fine. I don't have it. If you want to call me a creep, I don't care. But, 5 levels down, now suddenly, you've done horrible things to hamsters in the middle of the street, right? And that's crossing a line. And they're going to argue free speech and all that other crap. Not really.
Free speech. Okay, so you can't infringe on the rights of someone else. The only real defense to defamation, whether that be by slander or by libel,
Libel or slander.
is truth. That's really your only.
And you can be sued whether you're telling the truth or not.
Correct. You still have to be truthful, but you also have to communicate this truth without malicious intent. Why would you want to get into the middle of it? Why would you want to go sling mud? Why would you want to try and ruin someone if you don't know the whole damn story anyway?
Well, that's another thing is that. So I have unfortunately.
Oh dear God, Houston. You want to know what?
I am so glad we're off TikTok because now this is way better. Lindsay's dropping F-bombs. Houston's gone off the rails.
Talking about using duct tape with
on
hamsters.
If it doesn't move and should WD-40, if it moves and shouldn't, duct tape.
Yeah.
Your
Your thought? I'm sorry.
I lost it, Houston. It went away.
I'm sorry. I just saw that comment and had to laugh. But you look at the potential real damage that can be done, right? Because like you mentioned, and like Maggie said, these women, they don't just comment, but they'll pile on saying, yeah, I met him too, when they never have, right?
Right.
And then you get these HR people are all over these apps. Don't think for a second they're not in there. They absolutely are. And I would bet money if you're running background checks on people and that stuff is showing up in those apps, the people we used to use for background checks, they'd find stuff like that without question.
So
and then you're costing somebody a job potentially.
Right. And that raises an interesting question too, is should HR really be in social media platforms doing that sort of stuff?
I don't think so.
Should they? No. Are they? Abso-freaking-lutely.
So here's what I'll tell you. I do know that during the Biden administration, Facebook, Instagram, all of those things, all of your social media aspects were looked at if you submitted an application to be a federal employee. So they would go and they would look. And, I kind of look at it like, okay, is there a legitimate need to know? If you're working as a damn nurse at the VA versus you're working as an officer for the CIA, we're looking at two different realms of possibility here.
They don't view it that way. So
right. So I look at this and I kind of go, if that HR person got discovered, not only would that company be on the hook for negligence, but that HR employee just subjected a Fortune 500 company to millions and millions of dollars.
Here's the thing, Curtis. Having sat in the C-suite, okay, they don't see it that way at all. They see it the exact opposite. If we don't do it, we are putting the company at risk for a lawsuit. So, perfect example, right? Let's assume that some guy named Houston was doing nasty things to hamsters
with duct tape.
Okay. And, Acme Anvils, he applies there and he wants to work there. Well, as HR and all the other people in the C-suite would say, we need to know if that's a possibility, because if he's doing it to hamsters, he might do it to someone here, which is opening us up to litigation. So that's how they look at it. Damned if we do, damned if we don't. But there's a far more risk, not to mention criminal charges potentially, right? If we don't do it. Now, that doesn't mean they're overtly doing it, by the way, right? So I used to work with, the HR people all the time doing investigations and all that. But I also saw what they did when resumes would come in. If they got a bunch of resumes, let's say you were hiring, I was IT, so let's say we were hiring for a first level help desk. Mostly college kids coming out, right? First thing they would do is check their social medias. They would go and check them all, which back in the day,
MySpace?
MySpace was one of them, but it was primarily at that point Facebook, and the early iterations of Twitter and all that, right? Because I was in IT up until 2014. They would search them before they even did anything more. Now they have AI bots doing that, right?
Well, here's my 2 cents for this is that, first of all, does it impact the job you're going to do? Because people should be allowed to do whatever the fuck they want on their own damn time.
Not in the corporate world. They don't view it that way.
Yes, I realize they don't view it that way, but I'm saying I agree with you. It's become corporate overreach. We had a teacher that was fired for going to a protest for exercising her First Amendment right. She was fired because that doesn't align with our school's values. When she's on campus, she's a teacher. But when she's off campus, she's her own individual person. The company does not own them. And that's kind of sort of what we have become.
Absolutely.
And I think it's gross overreach.
And I 100% agree with you, Lindsay. I 1,000,000% agree with you. But that's not the reality of what's going on, right?
Yes.
When you sit at the C-suite levels having these meetings, because this shit comes up all the time, right? Is what are we going to do? When Facebook first started getting really popular, which was 2008, 9 in that area, right? I mean, it was around before that, but it really took off right around when Obama was running. That's when it started going. And there was conversations because people were making a whole bunch of political comments during the 2008 election, right? And we had conversations about it because in their viewpoint, and I'm not saying this is right, I'm just playing devil's advocate type of thing. All right, well, if Curtis is against Obama and Lindsay's for him and they start fighting in the office, that opens us up. And then there's the whole productivity issue and all that other crap, right? But it presents HR issues. So, okay, we're going to weed that shit out.
I remember what I was going to say before Houston got us off track. So I too have been in an HR meeting when I was still working at Dillard's. And this is what this is what they look for. They're like, it's a potential problem. However, my problem with their potential problem is you're punishing people based off of what ifs.
100% agree.
And that is because, technically speaking, every single one of us may be capable of lots of things if the circumstances allow. If someone threatens my children, for example, there are lots of things that I could suddenly be capable of doing. Any single one of us, if we're behind the wheel of a car, technically speaking, every single one of us could turn into a murderer who could run over a whole bunch of people. But most of us are never going to do it. So we've gotten to the point where we're Skynet. We're preemptively punishing people or for stuff that they might do rather than they are doing. Now, I might be able to get on board with some of the stuff that they're doing if they have evidence that they're already committing the crimes with hamsters and duct tape. That would be one thing. But if you just see like, oh, well, it could snowball. It could. But I live in Texas, and just because they say it could rain doesn't mean that it will.
You raise an interesting point. When I was in college, we had this. I had an attorney for a law professor, and we were talking about the Minority Report. And that, if you're curious, that's the 2002 movie with Tom Cruise where they hadn't had a murder in 17 years or some stuff like that.
Some ridiculous number.
Because they could predict they would arrest the people before it would happen. So it raised these ethical questions about, well, what if we could stop it before it happens? So what's interesting to me is, I think what's lost here is you have a right. You have a right to commit a crime, but you also have a right to be held accountable for that crime.
I'm triggering someone with my pillow, so I decided to bring it up even further. What's wrong with flamingos? I love flamingos. They're delicious. Sorry. Getting back to your point, though, Curtis, it's, again, I do not agree with this. I don't want people thinking I do. But having sat through God knows how many effing meetings with this shit, it is a legitimate concern from the corporate side, right? I can tell you for a fact that they would screen immediately for convictions of anything. Right. So, the standard is they'll tell you they're looking for, the question on most applications, have you been convicted of a felony? Right. And you're supposed to answer that honestly, and they'll screen for that. But don't think for a second they're not screening for other misdemeanors that'll show up. Right. If it's all public record or arrests. And I can tell
there are certain crimes that are not, you can't expunge.
False allegations being one of them. Even if you're found innocent, your
arrest which brings us back to the T app and how many women will what it basically is. It's a false allegation farm because they're falsely accusing guys with absolutely zero evidence. Interestingly, you should say that, Pastor. Did you know that until the 1960s, 1950s, 1960s, pink was the boy. 30s. Sorry, thank you. 1930s, pink was the boy color and blue was the girl color.
Sad that we were so in sync that I just knew what you were going to say, huh?
There's a reason why she's.
And hello, what about the Pink Panther? Can we not just admit that those are the funniest movies ever? Back in the day when I used to watch them all.
And if you want an even more in-depth history nerd answer, pink used to be an incredibly hard dye. You could either get red or you could get kind of like an orange, but actual pink dye was very, 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 very expensive. So it was usually only used for royalty, which most of Europeans' royalty were, men. So you would see members of the court, male specifically, wearing pink things because it was a sign of wealth.
Anyway, moving on. Getting back to the discussion, but one of the things that I brought in my video, but I've also talked about in other ways, is it is rampant false allegations just on steroids. It's an illustration of what's going on in society, right? Because these women are on there saying things that are not vetted, not moderated. No one is checking a word of what they're saying. And criminal charges could come from it for some guy. And he'll get blindsided because he has no access to it. But going further than that, it's not if, but it's when some guy's going to kill himself. Inquisitor Ghost faced false allegations and was hounded online a couple of years back. I will never let his name go off the record. I will bring it up till the day I die. Because that kid, and he was a kid, was falsely accused of absolutely horrific things. And it was all made up and posted online using Discord and other ones, right? Which is not that different from what happened on T. So these women are responsible or will be potentially, and I lump them all together for some guy killing himself. It's not an if, it's a when. It probably has already happened and people just don't know.
So I had an actual conversation with someone, and there is a legal term for entrapment, and that involves the law department or legal department. I, however, believe that there is a social form of entrapment. It's not just a legal term. And that's what they did with Inquisitor Ghost. He was set up. He was entrapped. And that's what I see. A lot of women will do this. I mean, I knew a girl in high school who had a fake ID, and she would go back in the day. She had a fake ID, and she would go out to bars and have 30-year-old guys talk to her, take pictures of their driver's license or write down their name and stuff, and she would put it up on Facebook. Look how he's a creep. He's only talking to you because you're in a venue where if you are at that venue, it is believed that you are of age. So no,
legally you're supposed to be.
Legally you're supposed to be. So no, if you were actually allowed to be there, he would not in fact be a creep. You're entrapping him. You're trying to get him in trouble. you're basically false advertising. You're portraying yourself to be someone you're not in order to trick someone into committing a crime. And most of these guys just talk to her, maybe bought him oh, look, he bought me alcohol. I'm only 16. And I'm like, well, then why are you at a bar?
Yeah, she actually broke the law by being in there.
And
misrepresented
fraudulently misrepresented who she was.
But unfortunately,
and her age.
If the guy does something because he assumes she's 18, he's facing God knows what, right?
Because at least in Texas,
and they won't even charge her.
At least in Texas, it doesn't matter if she lied about her age, which I think I am actively trying to get that law.
I don't know if anywhere that's not the law, Lindsay. And I
know, but I don't think that there's anywhere that's not the law either. But I still maintain that we should change the law, because if there's women out there who are going to pretend, willfully break the law themselves, and if someone is basically committing a crime without realizing that they're committing a crime because someone has falsely represented themselves, then it's not their fault.
No, the true victim is the one that ends up getting charged, though. Right?
Yes, exactly.
It's why, when I, was dating, I had young girls, and you'd look at them, and they were probably in their 20s. And at the time, I was in my mid to late 40s. The last time I was dating, I had girls in their 20s. I've had girls at the gym when I'm working out that are, in theory, in their 20s come up to me. I'm like, get the F away from me. And even if I was single, I wouldn't go near them because I would worry that they're not 18, right? You can't risk it. You're taking enough risk even talking to them. Because remember, it's he said, she said. And you can be charged based on words, not actions. So that's why I say to guys all the time, because guys are stupid, right? They, especially those in the 20s. Sorry, guys, but you are. And I was stupid when I was 20, and so was Curtis. We don't think it's going to happen to us. Every guy I've ever interviewed that has faced a false allegation has said, I never thought it would happen to me. I never thought she would do that. Blah, blah, blah.
Famous last words.
And
right?
it is. And their lives are destroyed because of it.
Yep. We're a little over 40 minutes in. If you guys would give us a like or a love.
I can't do the heart like Lindsay can. She's not paying attention.
Yeah, she's not paying. There it is. There it is.
I don't have my little screen anymore. This is like weird. I feel like I'm like not doing anything because I don't have to manage TikTok anymore. Uh-oh. She's throwing down. I love when she does this. I wish she hadn't muted herself. Yeah, so now my dog's getting mad. Lindsay, you upset my dog. Lindsay, you upset Molly.
I'm sorry.
Molly's mad now. Now she's going to go kill a squirrel just in your name. Where's my pistol when I need it? But now I lost track of where I was going to go.
Yes, I muted myself because I was not yelling at my children. I was having a nice conversation with Mr. Squirrel.
Remember, you're grounded still. Till the end of
She ain't telling you shit.
Neither did my daughter. I still believe my daughter, my one daughter.
Immaculate conception, right? With someone.
She's still a virgin at 36. Absolutely.
Curtis.
Oh, wait. Hold on. We got a question here. Dan and Curtis, at what age did you start shaving your melons? 43 for me. Oh, wait. One hippopotamus, two hippopotamuses, three hippopotami.
It's actually not hippopotami because it is a Greek word, not a Latin word. It's hippopotamuses.
Throwing various different endings out. Oh, and look at the screen grab from it. Oh, I'm going to give him so much shit now. Ain't me. So yeah, I started shaving my. He disappeared. Oh, now he's back. Oh, 424 hippopotamus. 425 hippopotamus. All right. Anyway, yeah, I shaved my head Memorial Day 2007. I can tell you exactly when I did it.
Oh, kind of melons. Okay.
Yeah, and then what the hell? No, not. Oh my God, Lindsay. I realize you've been grounded for a month, but really, really, really,
I'm sorry. I'm
really,
not sorry.
get your mind out of the gutter.
Damn,
You're
girl.
supposed to be sweet and innocent. You may have 2 children, but
we're talking about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
so they're all teasing Curtis.
He's disillusioned with that one. I'm afraid.
Yeah. So anyway, I was reading some of that. Molly will kill a squirrel in Lindsay's name. If she could catch him, she would.
Houston, the plural of deer is deer unless you're married, then the plural of deer is yes, dear.
Actually, I watched a video just before I got off TikTok last week, and this woman was going on and on about deers, and all she kept saying was deers. And I have these deers in my yard, and I'm like, it's deer hunting. But I didn't. I almost grabbed that video to have fun with it, but I said that would be mean, and I don't really try to be mean. So, yeah, death to all squirrels. Getting back to the topic at hand. Tea. Let's have some more tea. So, Curtis, because you're the more of the legal expert than anybody here. You and I were talking off air beforehand. There are lawsuits are already starting from the women's side, upset that their data got released. Legitimate, by the way, potential lawsuit, right?
Yes.
Where do you see this going? Because what they were saying about the men is out there, and if you're a man and you're dating, you damn well better be going and looking for that data. I did.
So what's interesting, right, is how did everything play out with like the Ashley Madison stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to prove damages on top of, okay, the first component in a tort is you got to prove negligence. Now we got to prove damages as a result of said negligence. But the problem is we're dealing with a form of fraud in some form or fashion because we're talking about defamation, because you're lying about someone intentionally. That's why it's a form of fraud. So you have to prove it by clear and convincing evidence that this lie that you intentionally told, this element of untruth, was done so maliciously, proving by clear and convincing evidence. And clear and convincing evidence has to be clear, convincing, and compelling to the court that this is what occurred. So it's not just this preponderance level, he said, she said, and we just moved the 50-50 line somewhere, It doesn't work that way. It has to be pretty compelling. It has to have a pretty strong, you got to have like neutral third-party witness evidence. You got to have physical evidence. You have to have these components that show this intent.
But all right. So the Ashley Madison thing, you got outed for being a cheater.
Correct.
Not great, but not the end of the world. Let's be honest.
No. Mm-mm.
This getting out where women are locally making claims of men doing horrific things. Do the men that are the subject of that, can they just simply say, well, she claimed I was, duct taping hamsters in the middle of the street. I have never done that. That's damage to your reputation, right?
Yes.
Is that enough?
The hard part is proving what the damage was, right?
Okay, but the first step is proving there is damage, right? Is that enough? That's my question. Is that alone enough to say, yes, there is damage? Because, let's be honest. If
I have to show that I haven't, I have to show that I've applied for 22 different jobs, and as a result, I haven't gotten one job offer.
And that's wrong, right? Because if you have to prove, well, I couldn't get a job because of it, as far as how much damage and how much compensation you should get, that I can see. But the fact that they're running around and potentially there's 10 or 15 of them running around saying things about you.
So the thing that I'm concerned about is not necessarily, I am concerned about reputation damage. What I'm concerned about is some idiot reading all of this accusations, like doing horrible things with hamsters and duct tape, and having some vigilante show up at their door and shoot them or run them over or go on a live them, because all these women say that they're, a P3DO file, and all these women say it, so it must be true. So they're going to open their door and it'll be like, Grubhub or something. But no, it's someone there to do them serious harm because, well, all these women said that you did all of these things, and it's all based off of a lie.
Mhm.
So that's an interesting component here that we're talking about. I think where the court is this is going to be an issue of first impression, because the level of technology, what's been going on, and we're talking about women who, under the auspice of good intention, was actually doing stuff maliciously with malicious intent, and it's going to be pretty easy to prove at that point. The problem is there going to be an expectation? Will there be an expectation that they should have been able to do so as a matter of privacy or right to privacy? And I think that's where it's going to get. I think that's where the political polarization is going to come in. But if we're to talk about it from like a strictly legal point of view, and we're to go on based on previous precedent, I'm going to say that a group of men are going to be able to come in, sue both parties in as a joinder to this, and then go in and say, hey, we're going to countersue both of you for this. And as a class action on top of it. And my inclination is yes. And if the court denies it at first, there's going to be an interlocutory appeal that comes back and then says, yeah, we're going to allow it, because it doesn't matter if we sue separately or in the same action. It makes more sense to do it in the same action for a few reasons: court efficiency, judicial efficiency, stuff like that. But at the same time, I want to hold both parties accountable. And I don't think that the women should get off if I'm a male who's been damaged, or if I'm a male that's representing the class that's been damaged.
Well, so you're going into the area that I'm not sure on, right? Because I don't think the law or the courts are ready for this.
No, not at all.
Right?
This was the curveball. You do not want to be the judge that's sitting on the bench when this docket comes in front of you and you go, oh no, what am I doing?
Because it's such a gray area. The women are going to claim that, well, it was private, or it's really to us no different than if we were, sitting in a restaurant at a table talking, right? That'll be one of their defenses and arguments. The other side of it, T's going to claim, well, we can't control what they're saying. We make that clear in our terms of service, right? And the guys are going to be saying, well, they trashed me. And the court's going to go, well, what happened as a result? And the guy's going to go, well, my reputation was damaged. Well, prove to me that it was.
So
it's all a gray
like
area.
That,
there's nothing cohesive.
In cases like that, that part is easier than what people think it is. And I'll Okay, so I'll give you an example. There was this case in Iowa here, 2016-ish. A city bus struck a car. The passenger inside the car had a master's degree in engineering, had all of this earning potential, and they projected out lost wages and then the projected cost that it was going to cost to basically cover his medical expenses for the rest of his life, because the guy lived, but he's now not a functioning adult.
Right.
Okay. So the thing is you establish, okay, what's his earning capacity or what's his earning potential? Well, that stuff's pretty easy to project. If you put the average age as 80 years old and the guy's 40 when it happened, we'll say for easy math, you still got 40 years to live. He probably worked until he was 60 or 65. We'll say 65 for good measure. So now you got 25 years of wages you have to compute, on top of 40 years potentially or more of medical expenses, therapy expenses, treatment expenses, stuff like that.
That's all definable.
Right. But if that's all stuff that's computed, we can do that, right? The component here for the defamation is I've submitted the 22 job applications, I've got these accolades and these credentials. I've got this degree and this degree, and I have this amount of experience, and I'm not getting a call back. That is where the damages are.
Okay. Let me take it to another level then.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to use your hypothetical. So let's say you're the guy, and they've trashed you all over it. You and Lindsay work for the same company. A promotion opens up. You're both vying for it. HR decides to go snooping and sees what's been posted about you. Never says a word to anyone. Lindsay gets the promotion. Even though you would have gotten it, let's say your credentials are close enough that it was up for debate. This was the seal the deal type thing, right? Or you could even say you were going to get it. It was yours to lose. They're never in a million years, HR or whomever, management is never going to admit they looked, let alone that it affected their decision. And you could lose out, let's say it was $100,000 a year, just for the sake of argument, for 20 years. That's $2 million you just lost of lifetime earnings, and you have nothing to prove. You can't prove it.
So yes, there's going to be those situations. And part of the problem that we're going to always run into is there's this expectation that we're going to have the perfect system.
And I understand that.
We are never going to have a perfect system. People need to understand that right from the get-go.
Right.
We are human. We are to err. That's what it is to be human. Sorry. Tough shit. But the reality here is, if I'm going to be edged out in $2 million of lifetime earning by Lindsay, but if you look at a merit-based system as truly merit-based, and the only difference between her and I is gender, then you start to draw on some questions, because gender is not a strict scrutiny item. Gender is an intermediate scrutiny item, which is not like boom, boom, boom. It's not really, gender is not really a protected class per se. So then the other questions you would draw in, her and I are both white. Her and I are roughly the same age. If I've got probably 10 more years of experience doing one particular set, and I would edge her out in that regard, I could legitimately make a complaint. And I could really, really make their buttholes pucker at that point.
Right, but you're introducing other factors, right?
Correct. And when you're talking about the variables, if all things being equal, and that was the thing that edges out, and I can't prove it, well, then I would assume that all things were equal, and it would have been none that.
And that's my point, because what people don't realize is that happens all the time. I cannot tell you the number of promotions and opportunities for advancement that got stopped, mostly because of what they were saying on social media, right? Because trust me, they're looking. So, if you're out bashing whomever, the president, and the HR person likes the president, right? You're screwed. You're never going to prove it. It happens all the time. The thing is, though, this is a whole other level to that, right? It's wrong. It's 100% wrong. But let's talk reality also. And here's the worst part: is the bad part about this hack is now all that stuff's out there in the public record. So while it's good that it was exposed, what those women are saying is potentially even more damaging to the guys, because now, instead of being on an app with a few hundred or 1,000, I have no idea how many followers they have. Well, now it's worldwide.
It was like, if I recall correctly, they touted something like 6.2 million.
Right. So now it's more like 6 billion, because trust me, the background checking companies and apps have got that data already.
Yeah, the company which boast of more than 6.2 million women users.
But now you've gone from
class action lawsuits filed in California in response to the breach.
Right. Now you've gone from audience, I'll call it, of 6.2 million to 8 billion, because 4chan put this stuff out there. I can find it right now, right? It take me about 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think for 1 second that all these background check companies haven't got all that data already, it actually is going to end up hurting a lot of guys that it got hacked.
Well, okay, so at least in my state, if I have a background check run on me, and when I lived in Oklahoma too, I had a right to request the results of that background check.
Of course, you have a right to request it.
So,
but you do. Okay, so to her point, you do have a right to know all things that were considered in the course of that. And I don't
have
know.
a right to a presumption of innocence. How's that working for all those guys?
Well, yes, yeah, that's true.
But that is an English common law thing. That the right to presumed innocence is not specifically enumerated in the Constitution. It doesn't state anywhere in the Constitution.
But you get my point behind it.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, but I'm saying that one of the things, or one of the recourse that the guys who are information is all out there now, is if they go to a job where they are required to get a background check. I always encourage everyone, when I was a hiring manager, I said, make sure that you request the background check,
mm-hmm.
the results back, because you have a right to know what they're looking at. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't realize that they have that ability. And if it says social media, and that was the reason why, or you can sort of kind of just ask, well, why? I was fired once because of something I said on Facebook. Apparently I broke a non-disclosure agreement. Never mind the fact that Facebook updated its terms of service and dumped my account from private to public. I was pissed, but I was also too poor to sue them.
I didn't even anyway. They'd had something in their terms of service.
Well,
they say I broke it, but anyway. So I was so shocked. I was shocked that they fired me for something I said off. This happened way back in 2012, 2013. I was so shocked that they fired me for something that I said not on company grounds, not with any specifics, and to someone who didn't even work for the company. I was like, how did you get it? Because that was like, I put everything on private for a reason. Well, it turns out that they had just updated their services, and everything that had been privated got put on public again.
Never assume anything's private on any of them.
Well, it was my first big wake up call, because at the time I was very young, and social media was new. At least it was to me. So now I don't put anything online that I wouldn't want a dozen people to find. But I know that because I was young and stupid once. And I requested the report for my firing. And they said that they looked at my social media, and I'm like, how? Well, that's how I learned. And well, I was all of 20 at the time, so
back in the day. Lindsay, you have a drink.
There's nothing here.
Steve makes an excellent point.
Fake it.
Country-born, that data is supposed to be anonymized, isn't it? So let's talk about the anonymity. Okay, but let's talk about this for a second. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Equal protection, uniform application of the law. If you are going to accuse someone of something, the accused has a right to face their accuser. I don't care what platform, I don't care where you're at, that is universal. So here's my problem. My problem is we don't have any sort of uniformity. In fact, what's interesting is in this NPR article, it says from gossip to online mob behavior. And what happens digitally can have severe real-world consequences. Well, no kidding. Critics have long complained that the anonymity of these sources can lead to bad faith accusations. When unchecked allegations like the ones able to be made by T users hit a certain audience, they can attract throngs of people ready to publicly shame the individual at the other end of the claim. Any of these things, when you're talking about what are essentially forms of gossip, have the potential themselves to also be sources of harm. And we see that kind of online mob behavior happen again and again, said Emily Laidlaw, an associate professor at the University of Calgary and an expert on cybersecurity law. Okay, here's the other interesting thing that she says. I think that there's a broader question, really, that's about civility and about how we engage with each other, she said. And both the accused and the accuser can be harmed. No shit.
The sad part is that she had to write that out so that people could understand it.
But, and you go on and okay, so here's another thing for you. Create a mail version of the app using the database, one social media user wrote. Escalate this shit.
I already have a name for it. It's called beer.
Okay, but here's what I'm going to throw this at you. I'm going to go Brown v. Board of Education, 1954, the Supreme Court of the United States.
Really going back in the day.
Separate but equal is inherently unequal. I think apps like this are unconstitutional. I think they're amoral, and I think they're unethical. And I think that they should all be abolished because
agree more.
It creates an environment where toxicity can grow, harassment claims skyrocket, and all of a sudden we have doxing problems. We have sexual misconduct allegations that
deaths. Let's just call it.
Yes,
we have
people whose lives are ruined because
they either unalive themselves or someone to
some crazy bitches decided to get on this effing app and decided to ruin one man's life. That's a crock of shit.
Because he told her no.
Well, I mean, somebody mentioned Good Time Charlie earlier in the comments. I forget who it was.
Country.
I haven't talked to Charlie. I had Charlie on my podcast a year and a half or so ago, which, he'd been completely cleared by then. The freaking sheriff that did the investigation has put a public video out on the town's, I think it was YouTube, saying he's 100% interested or innocent, to this day. Now, I haven't talked to Charlie since probably January or February. To that point, he was still being accused of things. His life is over. It'll never leave him.
Here's the thing that I would promote. I want to change the law so that charges made are expunged from the record.
Oh, 100% agree on that.
Civil claims made are expunged from the record.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why not? Here's the thing. If you were to log on to Iowa courts right now, you'd see I was named the defendant in 6 different cases in a civil domestic abuse protective order hearing. 6. Why? Because she knew she could use it.
Silver bullet, baby.
As leverage. So here's the other interesting thing. You go in and you read it and you see all these times and it says dismissed. Well, no shit, they were dismissed.
But they don't read far enough to see that.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Because it's not at the top.
And here's what happened. The Bar Association made the rookie move of, see, he has all these things, and they passed it around in 2023 to all these legislators. And I got asked about it. I said, let's go into EDMS and let's look at the docket. Let's see what it says. And I showed it to one attorney legislator, and I confronted another lobbyist from the Bar Association. It all got shut down quicker than shit.
But this is why the law needs to change, right? So
it does. It does.
I remember 2-3 months ago, locally here, a guy got arrested and charged with murder.
Mm-hmm.
Completely innocent. And I've kept track on the case. Okay. Mm-hmm.
and
You
it's a
Google-
felony, so it
You
doesn't get erased.
Google him. The first thing that comes up is his mugshot that was on the TV, right? She got complete anonymity. The woman
Which
that
is
made the
a
accusation,
product.
right? The witness. And that's the point, right? That's one example, but it happens everywhere. I argue, to your point, Curtis, that even the mugshot shouldn't be made public unless there's a conviction. Because every day, if you watch the news, somebody gets arrested, his mugshot's right there with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There isn't a day I don't watch the news, I don't see it. But we
So-
never hear the back end of it, ever.
Interestingly enough, so their mugshots are posted. It's posted everywhere. A conviction hasn't even happened yet.
Mhm.
And then by the time you get to jury trial, every single one of those jurors is prejudiced. Every single
Well,
one.
that's the other side of it, too, right?
Because
Or
then-
can be.
They can be, because even if they don't talk about it, they've been hearing about nothing but it. If they are plugged into social media at all,
But even if they're not, Lindsay, what's the first thing, if you get put on a case, what's the first thing you're going to do?
look
You're
it
going
up.
to get on your phone as soon as you leave the courtroom and look the guy up, right? You know you're going to do it. I would do it. So now that prejudices you right there, even though the court said you're not supposed to do this. Everybody does it. Who's kidding who?
I can't touch that.
Oh, Houston.
Jesus
wrong.
Christ. I
He's
know.
not wrong. Just ask the UK right now.
He's right, but holy crap. He's right.
Yeah. Well, just ask Britain. You know.
But the idea that you can, and I have long said this, that the idea that it's primarily when women make false allegations, but anyone who makes an accusation maliciously. And that's the problem, is that the law has a very narrow definition of, well, we can't prove that it was malicious. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, no one would accuse someone of a felony unless it was malicious.
Okay, so let's talk about that for just a second, because we talk about something in law that we are able to infer intent. We can infer intent through our language. We can infer intent through our actions. We can infer intent through our lack of actions when we have a duty to act.
Yeah, but the law says that, but it's not being applied that way because women keep getting off because, oh, well, I didn't do it.
Correct. But you know what that is also on the failure of men to show up. How many times have I seen, here's the thing, how many men show up to the Capitol unless they're paid lobbyists? Last I looked, I was the only one.
And that's the problem. We need to get the laws changed, but it's not going to happen if we don't come together and start squawking, right? Squeaky wheel gets the grease, but men won't do it until they're the one that gets arrested. And then they cry like little bitches, right? And it pisses me off, to be honest with you. Well, why won't anybody help me? Where the fuck were you for the last 10 years when
that victimization is a crock of shit.
Yeah.
The thing is it doesn't work. In my opinion, it doesn't even work for women because ultimately it's coming to bite them in the ass now. How many times have we had our conversations offline here and go, hey, you know what? If you've got legitimate domestic abuse going on, what is going on that woman can't get help? Oh, wait, it's the 90% of the other cases that, oh, wait, they made false allegations. No one believes a damn thing you say.
And that, it gets to the point that this needs to be addressed. Will it? That's the question. I don't think anything's going to be done. I think the courts will kick it as far away as they can. Politicians aren't going to touch it.
I don't know that they're going to have much of a choice. I think this is staring them right in the face.
Well, now there are lawsuits. I think it's in California.
Yeah, it's in California.
Yeah.
And honestly, I have a hard time seeing this not being removed to federal court.
Well, how can it not go to federal court?
I think it has to.
Yeah,
I think, and honestly, it just needs one party to come in and say, hey, We want to go.
I mean, if you
we
live
wanna
in
remove it.
California, and I assume T is based in California, I'm assuming, I don't
Yes.
know.
Yes.
Then yeah, you can sue in state court. But if you live in, I don't know, West Virginia, it's federal at
But
that
the
point.
problem is it's servicing 6.2 million women
Worldwide.
worldwide.
Yeah. And then the other problem that they're going to have is T's going to end up folding. There's no way they survive this. No way. Right? They're going to get sued into oblivion. The women are already doing it. The guys are going to be lining up.
I don't know how they can. I don't know how you can maintain the finances.
There's no way.
Otherwise,
So then they're going to disappear. So you got no recourse there. Right?
No,
this data's
but-
out there.
But I think if you got the precedent set, it would discourage other apps from coming along.
Well, I argue. Has anyone done about Facebook, about their groups?
You know, this might be the catalyst. This might be the hair that breaks the camel's back.
You know, I do not know of a successful case against Facebook for that. These groups have been around a while.
Granted,
And
but
everything that's said in them is no different than what was said in
we
T.
also know that they hide behind that EULA.
And Discord's another one. There's a freaking Discord server against me. I already know about it.
You know, okay, so if I remember correctly, there was a publishing company that ended up they hid behind the First Amendment, but it was basically how to be an assassin. It was how to assassinate someone or kill someone. And they ended up going all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States, and they found that the book was not protected speech. And they found that the publishing company was liable, and they paid an untold amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't.
I don't see how Meta or anyone else can get beyond that at some point, because these are all the same arguments that have already been argued before.
Right, but I mean, their TOSs are so ironclad. I mean,
It doesn't matter if you have a duty for public service, or if you have a duty for public good. It just kind of goes back to, if you got a duty and an obligation to do the right thing, you have a duty and an obligation to maintain your platform. You have a duty and an obligation not to intentionally harm people. At some point, and I'm going to be honest with you, as far as that goes, there's a reason why certain states do not like arbitration. Arbitration is one of those things that exists in the federal government, but in states, there's certain states that just will not recognize it because the lack of appealability and the lack of fairness.
But the problem you're always going to run into with this, and I'm trying to make sure I have the number right. I think it's Section 230 exempts them from suit. That law goes back to the 90s, 95, 96, somewhere in there, right? So basically, it's what allows TikTok, YouTube, T, and all of them to hide, because in effect, all they're doing is providing a platform. Thus, they're not responsible for anything that's said or done on it. And it's in all their TOSs also. So their out is going to, T's argument's going to be, we made it clear that, you know, we have no control over what anyone says. Section 230 protects us, because I know for a fact Facebook is hidden behind 230 for decades, right? The only fix is for Congress to repeal 230, which they won't do because they're getting too much money. And Trump to get off his ass and start banning TikTok to set the precedent. Then I agree with you, Curtis. Then things would change. But I don't see anybody having a successful suit against any of them. You know, Reddit's been around for how long? What's the other one that's similar to that? Shit, starts with an O. Blanking totally. Somebody help me out. There's another one. It's like Reddit, but it starts with an O.
Well, there's Tumblr, which
Tumblr's another one.
Horrible
right?
things on Tumblr.
You know, they're all over the place. They've been around for years, and nothing has ever happened. Facebook's 20 years old. Started in 2004. YouTube is what? Almost 20. All of these are out there, and they hide behind 230 to protect them. And I don't know of anybody that's gotten past that yet.
So maybe we talk about, okay,
I hope
so
it's 230. I keep saying 230. I hope I'm right.
well, maybe it ought to be that we evaluate the constitutionality of it.
How?
Right to
Well-
life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
You got to get it in the courts to do that. You know what? You know as well as I do what that's going to cost.
Well, here's the thing. If you question it, so you ask for declaratory judgment, you ask for declaratory relief, you ask the courts to make an official determination on the enforceability of Section 230. And here's the thing: if you set it up that way, and it's basically you're asking a legal question, and you're asking the courts to evaluate it, then guess what? I guess we go about it that way, right? And then we get a determination from the court. And the thing is now when you get an unfavorable determination from the court, you have a right to an appeal. Well, the thing is if you set up the DJ the right way, then guess what? I'm going to set it up so that I'm basically gearing this to go to the SCOTUS.
It's an interesting conversation to have with politicians.
Absolutely, it is.
Dan, you're correct. It's 2:30.
Oh, it is. I was from memory. I was hoping. I'm like, I hope to God it's 2:30.
And meanwhile, they're all trying to figure out how to do a hat and mustache.
The hat and mustache, yeah. It's an interesting conversation that I'd like to have with a senator, right? Fortunately, my senator is Tom Tillis, who's as useless as balls on a bishop and tits on a nut. Okay, he does not do a damn thing. He's useless. He has been for 12 years. The other senator we have, Ted Budd. I don't even know if the dude's alive. I've never seen a damn thing from him since he got elected. Not one. And he's never once responded to me. And now I understand it's not him, but I haven't even had a staffer respond to me. But I would love to talk to them about this. More so than the House, because I think the Senate's got the power to do something. What it's going to take, I'll tell you exactly what it's going to take. It's going to take some person of Congress, senator, congressman, congresswoman potentially, to fall under one of these apps and get destroyed before anything's done.
Because
I'm not talking about the normal shit that happens. They're used to that. I'm talking about where they get seriously accused of something.
We were talking earlier and about the apathy, and that men need to just stand up and they won't wait until it's I didn't expect it to happen to me. And this is where I will say that women have a little bit of a leg up, and the T-app proves it, is we won't wait for it to happen to us. We'll jump on the bandwagon with the support of another woman versus men who wait until it affects them. So in other words, women are really good about, and you see that throughout history, the abolitionists, for example, were all having society parties and whatnot, and they got very worried about causes that did not affect them, did not directly affect them, but they saw an injustice in the world and they wanted to do something about it. And they were very good at generating support for that. Men, not so much. And if you ever want to know the power of a whole bunch of angry women trying to get something done, I will proceed to tell you about the 18th Amendment. And women have that advantage over men. And
they actually terrorized people.
They did.
Yep.
They bombed them.
Not only for the 18th Amendment, but also the suffragettes were not nice people.
No, they were not.
They were horrible people. It was like, oh, they were no, they bombed post offices. They chained themselves to rail stations to force, because they were like laying across the tracks. They were domestic terrorists. By the modern definition, they were domestic terrorists. And but women will see an injustice and we will care about it even if it doesn't affect us. And this is both good and bad. This can be, there's extreme and there's a not. For example, I have never gone through the family court system myself as an adult, but I talk about the injustices of the family court system all the time. I'm on this show. They were also witches.
The suffragettes.
Oh, the word is bitches, not witches. This isn't TikTok anymore. We can say the W.
The B.
Or yeah, the B, sorry. And I mean, look at all the women in the men's rights movement. Most of us are adjacent attached, not necessarily immediately attached. But so to Dan's point, it is going to take a probably a senator, male or female, to either have it happen to someone they know, if it's a female, or if it's a male politician,
son or
have it
something like that.
happen to
Yeah.
them before they go, now wait a minute. Which
Well,
is
here's what's interesting. I saw it too.
I saw
Here's
that.
what's an interesting point, though, that kind of playing off what you were just saying. It could be that it's the women who shut these things down. Both the ones who were using it through their lawsuits, right? But also, and Curtis and I were talking about this before we went on air, there's a lot of women coming out against this. A lot of them. And I saw it when I was doing my research. They are, I mean, I have to give credit where credit's due. They are the ones stepping up, calling this out.
Well, there's a lot. Well, I was reading one story about one woman who her brother was autistic and got himself plastered all over, not the T app, but on a Facebook group, where this woman said all these horrible things about him because she didn't understand that he was autistic and he takes things very literal. And she was pissed. So the guy was just, I think the brother was just going to land, whatever. But the women, just like the mothers and the grandmothers and the stepmothers and the aunts and the all the in the father's rights movement that are speaking on behalf of the men they see going, the men they love that are going through family court and how unfair it is. So yes, I have to give credit where credit is due, that women might actually have to take responsibility for the horrible women on this one. And we were both the cause and the cure, so to speak.
And hopefully that's what it is. All right, we're starting to run out of time. If you're watching, and I know most of the ones in the comments have already done this, but you make sure you subscribe to Boy Meets Squirrel because that's where we're broadcasting. I know we're out on YouTube. Are we out on Facebook? I don't know.
It said it sent out to Facebook.
Yeah, I don't know.
Get any notice back that said no.
Question for the people watching right now, other than Curtis's little hiccup where we had to count to 427 hiccuponuses.
454.
What did you guys think? Were you seeing any lag, any issues, or all that? Because we are testing new software today, and we want to expand it, which will allow us to go to more channels, more platforms. So we're limited right now because the one Curtis was using was limiting, and the one we were using before that was okay, but it's very pricey. So we're trying to find out. We want to find the right software so that we can broadcast to not just YouTube and Facebook, but Insta, Rumble, a whole host.
Yeehaw. They're all doing the hat and yeehaw.
Jay, we don't have super chats turned on because we don't have enough followers yet. So we have 100, last I checked, was 160 followers. We need 500 to turn that on. He actually anticipated what I was going to say. So if you are not following us, you are not subscribed, get it effing done. We're done with TikTok, and we're never going back unless they get sold. Which
and maybe
even then, I was just gonna say, even then, I don't know if I'll ever go back. I have not missed TikTok at all. I've been off for a week now. It's been heaven. But yeah, I mean, yeah, everybody's saying it went pretty good. Okay, good. So we'll probably keep trying this one another time. We will be on next week with another time. I have so many topics that we have now, most of which I've been doing in my videos. So go watch my videos. I got a couple good ones coming out. But let us know, if you see any problems with it. And also make sure you like, subscribe, all the bullshit. It is going to help us. We're trying to grow this as a separate platform. Get it off of mine, get it off of Lindsay's. We want this to be its own little entity, and we got a lot of exciting news coming about reforging families. We had a big win this week. I don't know.
Yesterday.
I don't know if we're quite ready to announce it yet, so give us a little bit of time on that. Huge win on that. Something we've been working on for a while. But yeah, so make sure, so Jay just said I didn't get a notice y'all were on. make sure that you hit the notification bell, a little dingy thing in YouTube, and you should get it. Because I did, because I have followed us and notify. It did show up on my YouTube that we were on. So, and share this. Get other people on with us. The good news is hopefully once we get the software straightened out, we're going to have to start having some guests on. I've been talking to, no joke, probably 50 different people now because I'm lining people up for my podcast, and I've got a bunch of them willing to come on live with us. And we got some, there's some really good shit we can be talking about, including I have the world's foremost expert on a few things ready to line up. I actually talked with Warren Farrell's assistant. He may be coming on with us if we so choose, and a few others. So lots of exciting stuff, and you know where to follow us. I'm not saying any more on that because we don't give a shit about TikTok anymore. Wrap it up.
Bye, guys.